Greetings and salutations, my Marvel cohorts, and welcome back to the channel. It's yours truly, Conor, aka SuperNerdCM613, and today we continue our journey through Marvel's Phase 1 of the MCU. So far, we've taken a look at Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man 2, and we've seen a genius billionaire playboy philanthropist become the face of a franchise. We've seen Edward Norton turn into Mark Ruffalo, and we've survived Tony Stark's second midlife crisis. And now we leave the comfort of Earth entirely and take our first step into the cosmic side of the MCU, a place where magic is science, rainbows are literal bridges, and a man with perfect hair spins his hammer so fast it creates wind tunnels. Yes, today we're talking about Thor, released in 2011, the movie that introduced us to the Asgard, the Odin, and the MCU's first real taste of mythological fantasy. Now, before we get into the actual movie itself, let's rewind that rainbow bridge and talk about how Thor even got to the big screen. The idea of the Thor movie actually dates way back to the late 1990s when Marvel was still selling off its movie rights like they were having a yard sale. At one point, Sam Raimi was even interested in doing a Thor movie before he went on to do Spider-Man. UPN, yes, the TV network, almost made a Thor TV movie. And at one stage, Sony was even approached, but they passed probably because they didn't see how a Norse god could sell tickets the way Spider-Man could. Eventually, in the mid-2000s, Marvel Studios decided, you know what, we're going to be keeping this one for ourselves. They brought in Mark Protosevich, I'm going to butcher a lot of these directors' names, apologies up in advance, to draft a script, but the tone leaned heavily too much into Lord of the Rings-style epic fantasy. Studios were worried it might be too expensive and too weird to work for general audiences. Instead, enter Kenneth Branagh, and I'm going to probably butcher that last name, so we're going to call him good old Kenny, who joined as director in 2008. Now, Kenny is mostly known for Shakespearean adaptations, Hamlet, Henry V, Much Ado About Nothing. So at first, people were like, wait, you're hiring the Shakespeare guy to direct a Marvel superhero movie? But, I mean, if you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense. Thor's story is full of royal family drama, sibling rivalry, betrayal, and honor, all things that Kenny loves. Plus, the guy can rock a scarf like no one else can in Hollywood, let me tell you. Casting Thor was a completely different challenge. Daniel Craig was considered, but passed to keep doing James Bond. WWE's Triple H was rumored, yes, really, but let's just say we dodged a pedigree on that one. Eventually, Marvel auditioned a lot of actors, including Chris Hemsworth, who initially didn't get the part. They actually gave it to his younger brother, Liam, or they at least heavily considered him. But after Chris re-auditioned with a stronger presence, and I'm guessing after some in casting saw him shirtless, he landed the role. Loki was given to Tom Hiddleston, who also auditioned for Thor originally, but it turns out his cheekbones were far more suited to smirking villain than blonde hammer god. Natalie Portman was signed on as Jane Foster, and Anthony Hopkins was cast as Odin because if you need a wise, intimidating old king, you call Sir Anthony Hopkins. Filming took place in 2010 with a lot of the work done on Asgard's design. Kenny decided to go for golds, metallics, and grandeur while grounding Earth scenes in New Mexico with dusty, warm tones. And yes, this is where the infamous Dutch angle came in. For those of you who don't know, that's when the camera is tilted sideways so the horizon is slanted. It's meant to create a visual unease, but Kenny went all in. I mean, this movie has more tilt in it than a pinball machine. But anyway, let's pick up our hammer and start swinging through this actual plot. The movie opens in the middle of nowhere. A storm is raging in the New Mexico desert, and we meet Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, her mentor, Eric Selvig, played by Stellan Skarsgård, and the comic relief intern, Darcy Lewis, played by Kat Dennings. They're chasing some kind of weird weather event with a van, scientific equipment, and Darcy's iPod, and then, bam! They hit the man with the car. Don't worry, it's fine. It's just Thor, God of Thunder, no big deal. The scene actually acts as a flash forward. Then the movie rewinds to tell us how we got here. So we're then all of a sudden whisked away to Asgard, shiny golden city floating in space where Odin, played by Anthony Hopkins, narrates the backstory. A long time ago, frost giants from Jotunheim tried to invade Earth. Odin and the Asgardians stopped them, taking their magic box of cold, the casket of ancient winters. Odin struck a truce with the frost giants, locking the casket away in Asgard. It's basically the MCU's way of saying magic exists, aliens exist, and Norse gods are just really advanced aliens. Don't question it. Any case, we jump ahead to present-day Asgard, where Thor, played by Chris Hemsworth, is about to be crowned as king. He struts in with cape flowing, smiling like he just won prom king. The crowd loves him. His mom, Frigga, beams with pride, and Loki, played by Tom Hiddleston, stands off to the side, already plotting 12 betrayals ahead. Before the crowd can even touch Thor's head, though, Alarms go off. Frost giants have broken into the vault. Odin stops them, but Thor is furious. Instead of, being diplomatic, Thor decides, screw it, I'm going to go to Jotunheim to start a war. Thor grabs his friends, the Warriors 3, Frandl, Volstagg, and Hogun. I actually looked this up, plus Lady Sif, and of course, Loki tags along. They cross the Bifrost Bridge, run by the all-seeing Heimdall, played by Idra Elba. I'm going to get that last. Damn, I'm going to get it right. Idra Elba. Nope, still going to get it wrong. Jotunheim is basically MCU's version of a frozen wasteland full of blue-skinned giants. Thor tries to talk for like 5 seconds, and then throws Mjolnir, and we get our first action scene in the movie. Now, this is where the movie really shines. Thor spins the hammer like a helicopter blade, smashes frost giants left and right, and we get a cool visual effects of all the ice weapons clashing with Asgardian armor. But Odin shows up mid-battle looking very tired of his son's nonsense. He yanks everyone home before it even turns into a war. Odin gives Thor the ultimate grounding. He strips him of his power, takes away Mjolnir, and literally banishes him to Earth. As Odin throws the hammer through the Bifrost, he places the enchantment, whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. Thor crash lands in the desert right in front of Jane, Darcy, and Selvig. The hammer lands miles away, creating a crater. Now, the Earth scenes are interesting. They're a mix of fish out of water comedy and small town charm. Thor talks like he is Shakespearean play, demands horses from pet stores, and drinks coffee only to smash the mug and yell, "Another!" in a diner. Darcy, meanwhile, tases him within the first 10 minutes of meeting him, which honestly is probably the most relatable reaction to the MCU seeing a giant cape-wearing stranger in the desert. Just throwing it out there. In any case, S.H.I.E.L.D., led by Agent Coulson, finds the crater and builds a research site around Mjolnir. Thor learns it's there and tries to break in, taking out multiple guards like a pro, but when he finally grabs the hammer, it doesn't budge. The look on his face here is fantastic. Hemsworth sells the sudden heartbreak. This is where Thor realizes, oh, I'm not that guy anymore. Back in Asgard, Loki finds out, surprise, he's actually a frost giant. Odin adopted him after the war. Loki, of course, acting furious. Odin collapses into the Odin sleep, and Loki becomes temporary king. Now, this is where Tom Hiddleston really starts to steal the movie. Every line he delivers drips with manipulative charm. It's wonderful, and it's no reason why he continues to play Loki to this day. Spoiler alert. Loki then sends the Destroyer, a giant fire-breathing armor, to kill Thor on Earth. The thing lands in New Mexico and immediately starts wrecking cars and storefronts like it's playing GTA. Thor, now humbled and powerless, steps forward to sacrifice himself to protect Jane and the townspeople. The hammer deems him worthy again, flies to his hand, and we get the full power Thor entrance. Armor materializing, cape flowing, lightning striking, the whole shebang. Thor takes on the Destroyer in a short but sweet fight. He uses Mjolnir's flight and spin moves, ending with a massive overhead strike that blows the thing apart. Thor then confronts Loki down at the Bifrost Bridge after returning back to Asgard. Loki tries to destroy Jotunheim, but Thor smashes the bridge to stop him, and both nearly fall into the abyss. Odin saves Thor, but Loki lets go, vanishing into space, setting up, of course, his return in the Avengers. Thor, of course, is more mature now, though still clearly smitten with Jane. He looks down from Asgard, promising they'll meet again. Cue credits, the post-credit scene where, of course, Nick Fury shows Selvig the Tesseract, with Loki secretly watching. All right, now it's time to swing Mjolnir around and see what really sticks, what gets tossed in the trash heap, and like Loki's dignity at the end of this thing. So the pros of this movie, there's a good amount of them. Obviously, world building. Thor's introduction to Asgard and the cosmic side of the MCU was honestly a huge breath of fresh air at this time. Expanded the universe beyond just the earthbound heroes and laid groundwork for later cosmic stories. Chris Hemsworth's charisma in this thing was second to none. I mean, obviously, this was Hemsworth's obviously breakout role, and despite some wooden moments early on, his charm and physicality really sells Thor perfectly. But I mean, Tom Hiddleston is Loki. I mean, honestly, if this movie had nothing else, it would still be worth watching for Loki's smirking, scheming brilliance. Obviously, Hiddleston owns every single scene. Visual and design, the golden hues of Asgard, the Bifrost rainbow bridge beams, and the icy landscape of Jotunheim all feel very distinctive, immersive. So it's a very visually appealing movie as far as what you see for the visual effects. I do love the little bit of the blend of the comedy and the drama in this one. I know it starts to become a Marvel staple sometimes, and it's just but here the mix of the Shakespearean dialogue with modern day humor, like the coffee mug smashing and Darcy's taser, I argue it works a little bit better than I think some people would expect. However, there are definitely some cons to this. I'm not gonna say that this movie doesn't have its negativity towards it, or things that I shouldn't say negativity, more so criticism. Pacing issues. The middle stretch on Earth sometimes drags, with some of the scenes feeling like they're just hitting pause on a somewhat epic story. I'm not gonna lie. The Dutch angle, as I mentioned before. Listen, love you, Kenny, but seriously, calm down with the tilted cameras. It's like watching a drunk owl. Honestly, really a big thing that also kind of I noted here, a lot of the supporting characters are underused. Darcy Lewis is funny, but she's mostly in the sidelines. The Warriors 3 and Lady Sif could have done, obviously, so much more, but barely did anything here. I know we'll get a little bit more of Sif and Thor, Love and Thunder, but let's face it, this is pretty much going to be the big points of these ones. James Foster's role, or rather Natalie Portman playing Jane Foster's, the character is mostly there just to be the love interest and the science exposition, the science exposition device. There really isn't much like growth or anything to Jane's character at this point in time. We do get more with Jane in future Thor installments, but this one, it's very basic. The predictable plot points, I mean, the banishment, the worthiness arc have been done in various different forms, so it doesn't really feel too fresh, but I will say that for me anyway, it's at least in the context of the MCU, it's a bit refreshing. You know what I mean? Now, let's hammer out a few words on the key players. Let's talk about Thor real quick. Chris Hemsworth, the god who learns humility the hard way. Hemsworth blend of physicality and emerging comedic timing creates a hero who's not just muscle, but has heart too. His fish out of water moments on Earth are honestly gold, in my opinion. I do really like them. Loki, of course, Tom Hiddleston. Let's face it, he's the real star here. Loki's bitterness, wit, vulnerability makes him the villain you love to hate. Hiddleston's performance adds layers that elevate just the entire film as a whole. It's quite clear why. Again, just a wonderful reminder of a young Tom Hiddleston, really getting his hands on this role. And it really reminds me why he's been in this role for as long as he has. Natalie Portman playing Jane Foster, the grounding human scientist. Jane's mostly a bystander, but Portman's earnestness keeps her likable, even if the script doesn't really give her too much to do. Again, really my only criticism is the fact that she's more or less the love interest / scientific, bystander, I guess you could say. Odin, though, Anthony Hopkins, stern, regal king. Hopkins brings the gravitas, but the character suffers from the typical all-knowing father trope. Still, his moments are pretty impactful. And again, same thing, we are going to get some, I guess you could say, redemptions to these characters as we get further into the MCU. Again, the supporting cast, Idris Elba's Heimdall is memorable but very brief. The Warriors 3 do provide some comic relief but very little depth. And Darcy Lewis is the sarcastic sidekick offering a little bit of levity. So wrapping it all up, Thor may not be the best MCU film or even the tightest MCU film, but it's essential in a chapter that introduced the cosmic scale, the mythology, and one of the franchise's most beloved characters. It blends the grandeur with the goofy, the drama with the dad jokes, and sets the stage for everything to come. So, with that being said, I want to thank you all for tuning into my thoughts on Thor. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Thor as well, because next up, folks, in our Phase 1 reviews, it's going to be good old boy blue, Captain America, the first Avenger, a period piece packed with heart, heroism, and one seriously patriotic super soldier. So smash that like button like it's Mjolnir. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of these deep dives into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thanks for watching. I'm Conor, aka SuperNerdCM613, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take it easy.